Hello, everyone, and welcome. I would like to start with a little excerpt from actually the first chapter of the Call of Cthulhu, Chapter 1, The Horror in Clay. The most merciful thing in the world, I think, is the inability of the human mind to correlate all its contents. We live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of the black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. The sciences, each straining in its own direction, have hitherto harmed us little. But some day, the piercing together of disassociated knowledge will open such terrifying vistas of reality, and of our frightful position therein, that we shall either go mad from the revelation, or free from its deadly light, into the peace and safety of a new dark age. And welcome, everyone. B-star, butterflies. Let's see, who all do we got? We had Kathia Star. So far, so good. And welcome, Purple Valkyrie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Bravo. That was a good reading.
Thank you for coming.
Perfect way to start the show.
I thought it was rather well. The Call of Cthulhu. I think it's probably one of the most quintessential reads of Lovecraft's works, considering the entire mythos is actually built around Cthulhu.
Yes, absolutely. I think a lot of people, especially nowadays, when they think Lovecraft, they automatically think Cthulhu, even though technically Cthulhu's not really, at least with H.P. Lovecraft, a major player in his work. He definitely was used later on in the extended universe. But I believe Cthulhu was only used in maybe 3 of Lovecraft's own stories.
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. And I do believe we're actually going to cover one of Lovecraft's protagonists, as it were. Who was it? Inspector Legrasse that you mentioned
Yes,
the last stream?
yes, the intrepid Inspector Legrasse, yes.
Very thorough, that man.
Yes, definitely a detective in the truest sense of the word.
He really is. Hello, what's his face, McWhatnot?
Hello, guys. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, you are. We're diving into the Atlantic, see if we can take a look at the slumbering one himself. Get your diving gear on, ladies and gentlemen, because we're deep diving into this puppy. No puppies were harmed during the making of this stream.
No. You may go mad, but we don't hurt animals.
We joke around a lot, but we leave the animals alone.
Exactly.
Sometimes we shave a tribble.
Should we start off by giving our audience a kind of overview of Cthulhu himself, if anyone's not familiar with how he's described?
Sure. Do you want to take the floor?
Yeah, sure, if you like. Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead. By all means.
Awesome. Pretty much, I would guess everyone's seen him because he's in popular culture quite a bit. But for anyone who doesn't recognise Cthulhu, he's described as one of the great old ones. So he's one of the part of the pantheon of Lovecraft's cosmic deities. In form, he is hundreds of meters tall. He's vaguely like a dragon, vaguely humanoid, but he has a octopus-like face and wings and clawed hands and feet. So definitely an alien-looking creature.
Apparently, he slumbers under the city of Rillier, which is, I would think, described as maybe our version of Atlantis,
Yes, I think so.
or at
Yes.
least akin to.
Akin to, definitely, absolutely. Yes, it's a sunken city, isn't it? And yes, the Cthulhu is sealed, sleeping, sleeping in commas, within a great vault in this city, and his worshippers, the cult of Cthulhu, are working all the time to try and awaken this deity to bring him to the surface.
And that's where we get the quote, yeah, Zulu, get on with the talking.
Nicely done. I can never pronounce those. It's like a tongue twister.
I'm sorry, I'm a little fluent in Rillian.
The translation for that.
Speaking of that, I actually got that trophy on the game.
Did you? You actually got it.
Fluent in Rillian. I'm so happy about that.
Nice. For those of us not fluent, the translation is in his house in Rayleigh, dead Cthulhu, like waits dreaming. So he's slumbering, but knocked dead.
Actually, on Killing Floor 2, on the sanatorium map, that quote is almost directly translated on that part. And you actually, if you get far enough, I think it's past the 5th round, you can actually see Cthulhu.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not sure I'd want to.
But back
But
to
that's
the
pretty awesome.
book, the story. See if we can get us some more bandwidth here.
Yes, of course. Yes. While we do that, let me pick it up again. So if I remember correctly, and you'll probably have to correct me on this, it was first published in Weird Tales in 1928.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
right.
yeah, and it's one of Lovecraft's short stories. It's actually considered quite long for a short story. It's one of his larger ones, similar to the Dunwich Horror.
Octopi have faces. Yes. Those anthropomorphic ones like Cthulhu do.
Yes, they do. Yes, yes. He's got a round octopus type head, big bulging eyes, and just a mass of tentacles below.
How do we come across our avatars, Chronos says. I have a thing for masks. So, yeah, that's actually one of my masks.
Oh, that's awesome. Mine isn't that interesting. I just love bats, and a good friend of mine, Little Witch Boy on Twitter, designed the avatar for me. He's actually done 3, so I've got 3 different versions of this bat.
That bat is greasy sweet. You like, apparently, you like vampires, you like bats, and you like anything Lovecraftian, basically.
Bit of a horror nut. Yep.
You're a regular triple threat. The trifecta of creepiness.
Oh yes. I've always been attracted to the darker side.
So have I. Oh, hey, you made it. Welcome, MB Geek.
Hey, Jesse.
How you doing? Don't hate bats, just the rabbit type. Or don't we all? Now, where were we?
We were talking about what Cthulhu looks like, and then we were talking about where he is at the moment. So he's beneath the waves, sealed in the vault, and his cultists are tirelessly working to try and wake him up and bring him back to the surface.
And it's not just regular cultists either. There's witches. There's voodoo practitioners that are waiting Cthulhu's rise, according to the story. And
absolutely, I think it's important to note as well that Cthulhu, although he's technically incapacitated, he has the ability to speak directly to human minds, especially people like artists, poets, those kind of people. So he appears in dreams and nightmares as well. So he does have certain abilities to touch on the minds of people.
yes, this is great. You gotta send me a picture of that Crimson Mist. I gotta see that. I like Kronos is such a joker. Where's Louis Pasteur when you need him?
We love Kronos. Kronos is good people.
We let we he's probably riding the pines on this story. Although he probably is one of the greatest chemists of the early 1900s. For sure.
Yes, absolutely. I would definitely agree with that.
What?
Um,
Stream Elements is hiding your message? We'll check on that.
That's odd. Stream Elements shouldn't, but Stream Elements has been acting a bit weird recently.
And Big Geeks has subscribed to the channel. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just kind of clipping in between tabs right now and checking on and off. Oh, I get it. It's a troll joke.
Ah, I gotcha.
Oh, wait, wrong one. It jumped. Yeah, that would be interesting. MB Geek. That would be pretty cool. That whole
Yeah, I'd like
bat
to see that
story.
as well. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, we got the open lines at 10 p.m. If you're up for a purple.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll definitely listen in on you guys.
Gotta get into Inspector LaGrasse and his investigations. Especially his manuscript described by Professor Angel, the hellish outlines of nameless monstrosity puzzled over unknown hieroglyphics, my bad, or the ominous syllables that can be rendered only as Cthulhu. All this stirring and horrible connection is a small wonder he pursued. Young Wilcox with queries and demands for data. Probably talking about the Rullian translation.
Yes, that's right. And also in the story, if I remember correctly, there's a small sculpture that also has inscriptions on it. So that's our first kind of glimpse as to what Cthulhu is.
It's chapter 1, The Horror in Clay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's this small bas relief sculpture. No one can kind of quite figure out what this creature is, or what the writing says on it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to hear that. Yes, Reanimator. Herbert West Reanimator is what the Reanimator is actually based off of.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of Lovecraft's fictions. He didn't
Yeah.
really want to write that one, but he was really down on his money,
Mm-hmm.
and he needed the coin, so he penned that. But it is one of his more, how do you say, famous stories.
Yes, definitely. I think, especially because, as Crimson Mist says, because of the film as well, even though the film doesn't follow that closely to the book, other than the characters and certain plot points. But I think both work really well by themselves. And so if you enjoyed the film, I definitely would say it's a good jumping in point to Lovecraft to read Herbert West Reanimator. I think
Yeah,
for me, the first one I read was actually Dagon, which we discussed last time.
yeah, and I said I didn't even realize it was Lovecraft because I didn't exactly have the cover of the book,
Mm-hmm.
but it was The Beast in the Cave.
Huh.
Was my first introduction to Lovecraft. And then I actually had a friend who was actually part of the historical society,
Mm-hmm.
and he still didn't tell me how to get into the Lovecraft Historical Society. I had to get it on my own.
But you got in, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, I'm finally official. I've got the paperwork and everything.
Got the paperwork to prove it. That's awesome.
Dang right. Paid a good chunk for that paperwork too. $100 lifetime membership.
Wow. It's not bad, I suppose, for a lifetime membership.
Yeah, it's not bad. You get like discounts every month or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. And their stuff is really cool in the store. Hashtag not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but recommend them. I'll have to check that out.
I love their pint glasses. That's my next thing on the list. Those tentacle pint glasses.
And what's his face, but whatnot says Herbert West Reanimator is quite well known overall. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, we're really not touching too much. Oh, Cthulhu, are we?
That's all right. It's still Lovecraft. We can swing back around to him in a minute. Cthulhu's not going anywhere, literally.
I like your sense of humor on the fact. Oh, it's quite refreshing. And that's what we like about this. It's But what I find really sad about the reflections of Lovecraft and pop culture is
Mm-hmm.
everybody's actually kind of afraid to do movies on H.P. Lovecraft's work
Yes.
because some of these descriptions are not exactly the best in these stories.
No, that is absolutely true. And even in the story that we're talking about at the moment, the Call of Cthulhu, I think people might find certain parts of it offensive. Um, but I think we touched on this last time as well. You can
We're
still
not,
be a fan of Lovecraft, but not support how he was as a person.
you got to realize that in Lovecraft's work that This man wrote in the early 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
So things are way different now.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah,
even
I
back
believe we
when,
even said, oh,
yeah,
we
no,
even both said that he'd be like instantaneously canceled today
oh, we were, yeah, absolutely.
without a doubt.
But even back when he was writing, his views were considered extreme, even for his time. So, you know, at no point are we saying Lovecraft was a fantastic person, but was he an incredibly talented author? You know, did he bring about the emergence of cosmic horror? Absolutely.
Yeah, I seem to have this problem. Tentacle typing, a rather sticky situation. Why do you think I'm on so many channels at once? So many tabs, so many tentacles everywhere.
And Visa, yeah, I'd like to see a movie of it as well. I think they'd have to change quite a bit, but the overall story, especially with the hero, Inspector Legras, I think would make a really good film. And as we were saying, because Cthulhu is so well known within, you know, he's almost kind of like Godzilla. It's that kind of character,
Here's
even though
a
you
good
don't really see
take.
him.
Doesn't really play that much of a role, but he does play a somewhat subsidiary role.
Hmm.
There aren't very many active deities in the mythos, to be quite precise. I think there's only really two that are actually active, and that is, well, Hastur, of course,
Hmm.
and then there's Narlethertep.
Yes, and I think we should probably point out at this point that Hasta and Cthulhu are brothers, if I remember correctly, in the
Half
pantheon,
brothers.
half brothers.
One's a little more lenient. I believe Hastur's the more lenient one.
Yes, and um, Azathoth is Cthulhu's great great grandfather, if I remember correctly.
He's not
Going,
just the great great grandfather, he is the creator of
mhm,
everything.
is the
It's the
original.
closest thing that Lovecraft has in the mythos to a creator deity. The blind idiot god. The, the eternally slumbering one. The great god Azathoth. There's a reason that I keep mentioning him in like chats and stuff. I
Hmm.
keep mentioning that flute guy. You notice I keep having that pop up in conversations. Like I give the flute guy a stack or two. He should be okay. Now he's playing Iron Maiden. It was kind of funny hearing him play "Run to the Hills" to him. It was kind of hilarious. I was, and seeing the drum guy trying to keep up, he was sweating.
You'll have to send me that link.
No, there's no link. I just made
No,
it up off the
oh,
top of
you
my
just had it.
head.
Oh, damn! I was hoping that was somebody had actually tried to do it. You know.
It'd be funny. Play a song. I, I wish I actually had a song for it. I need to get an intro, like yesterday. Something dark,
Yes,
something ominous.
that would be cool. Something with thunder and lightning.
What do we got? A vaudeville show here? I do like some vaudeville. Got some regular slapstick going on in the chat. Another 1920s art long gone.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really hard to actually get on a. I actually even have a hard time reading H.P. Lovecraft myself, personally, without an audiobook accompaniment.
Yes, I do. As I said earlier, the bit that I fall down on is his basically the language that he made up. Even Cthulhu, there's arguments about how it's supposed to be pronounced. Some people, I think Lovecraft himself said it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be like cthulhlu.
Yeah, it's a guttural, almost growling sound. So it's not exactly a word as such. It's and then I've heard other people say it's Cthulhu, and then there's different ways of spelling it depending on who's writing the character.
But we're going to use. I usually always use the RPG spelling because it is recognized by the Historical Society as accurate.
Yeah, so that's the CTHULHU. Cthulhu.
CTHULHU, yes.
Yes.
I literally have the book like right beside me, the Keeper rule book, and I have my complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft by my side right now.
I've got my collected edition, which is on the shelf nearby, and then I've got a couple of the individual stories as well that were published. But as I was saying earlier, where my knowledge falls down in comparison to yours is the extended universe. So especially with Cthulhu, a lot of people took the character and kind of brought him into public consciousness through their stories. So authors like August Derleth were very prominent in using him in his books, if I remember correctly.
Yes, August Derleth was the one who actually started to republish his works after his death, posthumous.
The one thing that's quite unusual about Lovecraft was that he actually encouraged people to take his work and make it their own. So he was very happy to have people kind of use his characters and just expand upon what he'd already written.
And if you do stay tuned, I really am working on my own little stab at the Cthulhu mythos.
Awesome.
I'm actually working on 2 stories right now. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the creepypasta about the random staircases.
Yes, I've heard those before.
The random staircases appearing in the forest.
Yes.
I'm sure you have a good idea where I'm going to take those.
I look forward to reading it.
Buckle your seatbelts, grab your silver keys. We're going to the dreamlands.
Yes, because I've heard of the staircases and everything that's attached to that. So that would be really cool to kind of see how you use that. That would be awesome.
It's definitely got a 411 type vibe. The you watched that missing 411 documentary?
Yeah, David Politis. Yeah.
Yes, it's got that kind of vibe to it.
Nice. I'm actually thinking of doing a show on David Politis and the missing 411, but I need to do some more research first.
Well, if you ever want somebody for it, I'm all down for that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's one of the more weird phenomena that I've come across.
Yeah,
Mainly for the level of detail that David Paulides has gone into and the kind of the patterns that he's found. I just find that very interesting.
I really find the plains of Lang actually interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the actually in Lovecraftian lore and his stories. I enjoy the dream cycle stories more than anything because they're more fantasy more than they are cosmic horror most of the time.
Yes, yes, that I would agree with.
And I just think some of those locations are very it's like straight out of a fantasy novel. I'd love to actually take a look into the cats of Althar and take you guys on a trip to the plains of Lang.
That would be awesome. I think, as we were saying earlier, quite a lot of famous authors have picked it up. So people like Robert E. Howard and Robert Bloch.
Yes, those are the yeah. I call those the two Roberts. That's what
Yeah,
I
the
call
two
them.
Roberts. Yeah, and what's the other one? Fritz Lieber, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Lieber
Lieber.
and I think not Brian Lumley has a lot of the extended mythos stuff.
Yes, his Necronomicon series.
The Titus Crow books.
Mm-hmm.
Did you send yourself to the void, V Star? I guess it is possible.
I guess it is possible. I didn't think that was possible.
We were just discussing that in like a wrench chat with like all the wrenches at Loki's channel, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it possible? And we were talking about how Kronos wants to be banned all the time, and we were like, if I was like, if I gave him a wrench, could he ban him? Could he ban himself?
I guess he can. How about it, Kronos? We're not banning you.
Yep, it's already been around. It's around to every wrench, buddy. You're banned from being banned.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, hon.
Besides, we don't want to get rid of our favorite troll.
No, we love Kronos.
He keeps me laughing. Yeah, you guys make this worthwhile, especially when it starts to get boring and a little redundant. You guys make it all worth the while. You really do.
They really do. The chats are always awesome. We have some great people in the chat.
The stream elements pulled your comment. I didn't even see a notification on the activity feed. Maybe you should try again.
Stream Elements is being very strange recently.
Speaking of trolls, I believe even Lovecraft even mentions ogres in some stories.
Yes, he does. I'm trying to remember which one. Which one? That's
I want to
definitely
say
more of
that
a
I want to
fantasy.
say the nameless city.
Mm-hmm. I know in Rats in the Wall as well, there's the race that's kind of troll-esque, but they're not described as being trolls. They're just kind of subterranean. Um,
Kind of like the ogreish like creatures of Bloodborne in the Thumerians.
yes, exactly.
which I think is actually a term of it's not Thumeria, it's our real life interpretation of Sumeria,
Hmm.
the Sumerians, because that was a real thing back in the early years, prehistory, ancient history.
What in your what would you say has drawn people to the Cthulhu character? Why do you think Cthulhu has become more popular than, say, Dagon or Castor or um, any of the other deities? Do you think it's because of the extended universe, or do you think it's just a character that people kind of latched onto?
I think it's the latter. Definitely, probably. Word salad. More than likely, a character that someone has they have latched onto in
Hmm.
pop culture and whatnot. Besides the deep ones that we covered earlier.
Yes, you definitely see a lot more Cthulhu merchandise than anyone else. Even with the games and things, you get the Call of Cthulhu games, the Arkham horror games.
Although we do see a lot of dark young
Hmm.
in the Arkham horror and other Lovecraftian games, which is spawned from Shub-Nugrath, I believe it is, out of the black ichor that I believe she produces the black goat with 1,000 young.
Yes, yes, 1,000 young.
I believe she is described as the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young.
That's exactly it. Yes, and again, another one of those kind of very hard to describe
Oops,
deities.
wrong one. Yes, that is a thing. That is probably one of the. I actually like the thing that should not be when it actually comes to Metallica songs of Lovecraftian precedents. But Call Cthulhu was probably one of the real, I want to say, instrumentals
Hmm.
of Metallica's lineup. I think every album had a instrumental track, at least for a while. V Star is in agreement. The thing that should not be. Which is probably more akin to the thing on the doorstep,
Yes, yes, I
or
would agree with
and
that.
also refer to the Dunwich Horror.
Dunwich Horror, yes. It's actually one of my favourite of his stories.
I need to get with LDG and get that clip of me actually singing um a, the Dunwich Horror to the tune of the Brady Bunch.
You did not.
I
Seriously.
I did too.
Yeah, get it. Because I've got to hear that. Or at least point me in the direction of whatever live stream that was. Because I've got to hear that.
It was one of Jedi Bill's. I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh.
Ah, that's okay. We love you in the best way.
We do. We love you, grown ups.
I'm not sure it's the same coming for me as it does for Purple, but yeah, take it or leave it, I guess. Yes, the Dunwich Horror. type it out.
Yes,
That is
I
too
never
many R's. Damn tentacles.
Oh, you did say you got tentacles everywhere.
uh, this is a chat and a half, I'm telling you. And I believe even the Call of Cthulhu talks about the Levantines and mutterings from officers in the Philippines of the certain tribes. And
That's right. Yes, yes. This cult of Cthulhu stretches far and wide, um, even as far as New Zealand. But I think with Legras, he finds a sex in New Orleans or
yes, I was just looking at that. Yes, it's
the
New
the voodoo
Orleans.
cult. Yeah. So I think the quote about them is they worshipped, so they said, the great old ones who lived ages before there were any men, and formed a cult which had never died, hidden in distant wastes and dark places all over the world until the time where the great priest Cthulhu, from his dark house in mighty city of Realith under the waters, should rise and bring the earth again beneath his sway. Someday he would call when the stars were ready, and the secret cult would always be waiting to liberate him. So they mean business. They really want to wake Cthulhu up.
Yes.
But as we said earlier, Cthulhu only decides himself who he wants to actually talk to.
Yeah. Usually, even in the RPG settings,
Hmm.
they usually have like what they call a seer or an oracle that usually Cthulhu talks to or through,
Right.
which harkens back to the game that I played. Sarah Hawkins was that in that setting.
I really need to delve into the games. I've never played any of the actual tabletop games.
Well, that's not tabletop. That's actually the video game.
That's that's the video game, yeah, which I've got but haven't played.
I actually have it playthroughs on my channel.
Yes, I haven't watched them yet. I've been watching your Bloodborne, but haven't been watching those ones because I haven't played the game myself, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers.
So so what do you think of Bloodborne?
I love it. It's
Very
a
Lovecraftian.
oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, it's basically a love letter, and everybody wonders why I like it so much.
Did you play Dark Souls as well?
Yes, I'm not as good at Souls as I am Born.
No, I was never very good at Dark Souls, I have to admit.
Oh, I suck at Dark Souls. I lose my way so bad. People have tried to actually walk me through it like 13, 14 different times, all three of them, and I'm just like, fuck all this.
It's got a steep learning curve, definitely.
It's just hard to navigate sometimes, especially when you don't know where you're going.
Yes, you'll invariably either walk into a trap or just get completely lost.
My experience walking into a trap.
Yes, walking into a trap and then just getting taken out.
Either that or finding the random mimic.
Oh, I hate mimics. I know they're a staple of like the fantasy genre, but My God, they are annoying.
They are abhorrent, annoying creatures.
V-Star says she loves watching you play.
Yeah. She seems to have got inspired by the gameplay. It's like Lovecraft has a bit for everybody, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something. What is Bloodborne? Bloodborne is a PlayStation 4 exclusive game made by From Software. It is basically you are a hunter charged. You're actually no, you're not even a hunter. You're an outsider who I guess gets hurt on the way to Yarnum, and you are just basically thrust into this world in the night. The hunt is on, and they're trying to rid the streets of the beast plague that plagues Yarnum at the time. And you, as you go, you slowly uncover what all this ties to with the blood and blood healing, and what it has to do with everything in the healing church. And I don't want to spoil too much, especially for some of you that do want to play, but I will type out the title in the chat.
But you definitely recommend the game.
Oh, indeed I do. And if you don't actually have a PlayStation 4, I hear there is news for PC owners. It they have slated it for release, not yet determined, but it will be released on a PC. Oops. Never mind that slash. Damn tentacles. Maybe I should click this having issues. Oh, wait, that's for StreamYards.
Yes, like I said, StreamYard has been very, very strange at the moment.
Yes, it is.
I think it's because everybody's streaming at the moment as well.
Yeah, everybody and their little sister is on the streaming game.
Hey DJ, good evening.
No, 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 definitely not testicles. Man,
No.
if I had those that big, I don't think I'd be able to walk. That'd definitely be on some type of disability, wouldn't it? Positive Candor made it.
Hey, positive candle. Hello, hon.
But there's really not much to describe without actually spoiling it
Yes,
in
it's
the book,
kind of hard to go into too much detail.
especially if you plan on reading a little later and actually. But I do recommend actually reading it. Excuse me. Mm, gotta wet my palate a little bit. There we go. Ah, better. Sometimes a little coffee or tea or a little bit of water just, yeah, perks it right up. Where were we?
We were recommending the book.
Yes.
Well, the story, the short story.
Yes. If you do want to catch on to it yourself, I do recommend the Call of Cthulhu. I know I know Ian Gordon over at Horror Babble does a good audiobook reading. I love his audiobook readings. His audiobooks are more to my speed. I usually use them when I'm reading myself personally.
Mm-hmm.
I've even sent you a couple of them, hadn't I?
You did, yeah. You sent me the links. I've checked them out. I agree. It does a really good job of it,
He really is good, and he
especially
does
the
set that tone.
pronunciation.
He does set that tone really well, and they do write their own over at Horror Babble, so that's always good to look into. And he also covers the older universe of the Lovecraftian Circle, as we mentioned, August Derleth, the two Roberts. Did I lose you, Purple?
No, I'm still here. I was just listening to you. Sorry. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. The other one that I would probably recommend is Clark Ashton Smith.
Yes, Clark Ashton Smith is another good one.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget where Hastur originally came from, Robert W. Chambers,
Yes.
at least in the Weird Tales version. He actually has an even further representation, but it's not really as good.
No, it's not. No, the the one from Weird Tales is better. The Hasta, the other Hasta, um, Ambrose Pierce's short story really isn't the same um, character, in my opinion.
Mostly Robert W.
Mhm.
Chambers, the King in Yellow series, is
Yes.
the one that mentions Hastur in true form, especially with the yellow sign. I finally figured out what the yellow sign actually is. Sad to say, I finally figured that out.
Oh.
The yellow sign is not something you place upon a person. It is a tool that Hastur uses to sway people to his will.
Uh, so it's always putting a mark on people rather than uh, a sign as such.
It is a sign, but it does burn its way into people, marking that they are under control of Hastur.
Yes, because if I remember the other version of him, he's quite a benign character. He's described as the god of shepherds, if I remember correctly. But
Yeah, and
I must
that's not.
much prefer the Hasta that we know.
Yes, I prefer the other Hastur as well. That's Yeah, I like Robert W. Chambers Hastur better myself personally, especially if Cthulhu does arise. Things get
Yeah.
a lot more interesting for Hastur.
Hasta, if I remember correctly, is actually quite similar in appearance to Cthulhu as well. Not identical, but
No,
obviously
he's
because they're half brothers. There's.
sort of,
Mm-hmm.
but he's got several forms. Hastur does really.
Mm-hmm.
He's more like Narlathotep in a way. He, Hastur can shift himself. into basically anything you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Narlethatep have been known to appear as a very slender, dapper man of the early 1900s with monocle and all. And you wonder why I like monocles.
Yes, he's also obviously known as the King in Yellow, so he's draped in the yellow robe with the sigil. What does Cthulhu actually look like? We told you what he looks like earlier, Kronos.
You wanna reiterate that?
Yeah, okay. Cthulhu is described as being hundreds of meters tall. He's vaguely humanoid in body, but he has clawed hands and feet. Um, he's scaly, rubbery, definitely a creature of the ocean. His most obviously famous description is that he has the large head with the massive tentacles, so it looks like an octopus for a head, and then he has wings also, and the big kind of bulging eyes.
He he's a creature of the ocean for now, but he does come from a planet far away and far ancient, many light years away. I believe it was the war from of Yuggoth that brought Cthulhu here,
Mm-hmm.
and the extinction of the Migo there on Yuggoth.
Yes. So Cthulhu kind of became trapped here almost. Um, but
Basically.
but I think it's sort of worked out quite well for him.
This chat. You guys are the greatest. I'm telling you. Uh,
Yes, Cronus, rubbery, like an octopus.
like a tentacled, legged, dragon winged octopus. Ooh.
Oh, nice. That I'd like to see. That was awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you in the Discord, and you're gonna have to slap that into the chat because I'm sure there's a lot of people who'd love to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, he has tentacles and legs. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. To
Why
look
you
upon
think?
him, you'll go mad.
Oh, there it goes again, jumping. But I'm on top of it. Don't know why. Chupacabra when you see Cthulhu? Really? Yeah, you're gonna have to explain that one to me. Positive candor. Or is it just the spelling?
I like Crimson Mist's comments. Give early 2020 because why vote for lesser of all evils?
I think I've actually saw shirts like that on Instagram, but not exactly saying that. Yeah, I'm sure you'll figure that out. Put that in there somewhere. Parrot Head.
I'm Parrot Head.
He seems to be the master of my NSFW. One of them.
What's his face and whatnot? Yeah, I'd definitely love to see that if you've still got a
Yeah.
copy of it.
Yeah, I'd definitely love to see it. And Butterflies wants to take a stab at Cthulhu herself. Yes.
Do it.
Yeah,
I want to see that too.
and if she does, I'll definitely post it in the Discord. Heck, I might even make a thumbnail out of it.
That would be cool too.
We'll do it.
Oh, sad.
That's a shame, but I bet it was awesome.
Wait, do you have the tattoo? Is it your tattoo? Or was it a tattoo for a friend? Because tattoos are always welcome. All love of Lovecraft is definitely welcome in my Discord.
Oh yes.
Apparently, that's what I'm all about. All about that Lovecraft love. Not exactly the man, but more the work. Definitely.
Yes, definitely the work. It's like you say, you can separate the artist from the art.
They always said I had a problem separating fantasy from reality, and I say,
I prefer fantasy. It's more interesting.
and then I outpsych my own shrink. And then he told me get the fuck out of his office. Mini mummy, maybe.
Oh, I know what mini monies are. They're small figures. So what's the face whatnot must have created one, like a blank one, and made it look like a Cthulhu. That's awesome.
Oh, great.
That's stuck in your head for the rest of the day.
Yep. Now I gotta listen to something really depraved. Last time it was Gundam Style that got it out.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. Well, I think we've covered basically all we could actually cover without spoiling too much.
Yes, pretty much. We've gone over the background of Cthulhu, and we've kind of covered as much as we can of the main story that he appears in. In a couple of the other stories, he's kind of mentioned. Um, I think the Dunwich Horror we already talked about, and Whisper in the Darkness. I think he's sort of touched on, and at the
Yes.
Mountains of Madness. But
Yes.
Call of Cthulhu is definitely just based on that particular deity.
We would say it's the tip of the iceberg, but then again, we should actually cover the Mountains of Madness next, since we're talking about icebergs.
I think so. That would be a really good topic.
I mean, yes, definitely would be a great topic.
Mm-hmm.
So, 2 weeks from now, the Mountains of Madness, everybody.
Awesome.
And we'll have Purple Valkyrie if she'd love to come back on.
I would be honored. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd
Thank
be
you.
honored to have you. We seem to click rather well.
Yes, we're definitely on the same wavelength.
Like I said, I think you're in my head, and I don't even have to be dreaming. What the hell's going on here? It's scary. Tell you the truth, I think I'd rather have a female in my head. Is that too simpish?
No, not at all.
Because I definitely don't want to sound like no simp. Well, Chronos, V-Star, Butterflies, My Wrenches, Parrot Head, thank you. Chronos, thank you. What's his Facebook, whatnot? Positive Candor. I think MB Geeks was here for a while. Thank you, brother. And hope to see you later. Who else is
Yes.
there?
What
DJ
time?
popped in.
What time are you guys on tonight?
I'm on 10 every night.
10 every night. Awesome. Thank you.
And so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Probably 9 hours from now.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Is Loki on tonight?
He is, yeah, he's got a gaming stream in a couple of hours, I think.
So everybody stay safe. Stay eldritch. Purple Valkyrie, thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me back. Always a pleasure.
So goodbye, everyone. Laters.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Aster out.